In the distant reaches of the Orion sector, a shadow moved with terrifying confidence. The Dominion's navy, vast and merciless, patrolled the stars, crushing anything that dared oppose them. Their ships were larger than cities, bristling with weapons that could annihilate worlds. Intelligence reports whispered of a small, seemingly insignificant planet on the edge of their control, Earth. For centuries, the Dominion had ignored it, thinking it weak, primitive, and unworthy of notice. But in the cold void of space, the smallest flame can burn the largest darkness, and the Dominion was about to discover that underestimating humanity was a fatal mistake. On Earth, life continued as if the galaxy's shadow had not arrived. Cities bustled, people laughed, and children dreamed of the stars, unaware that the universe's most dangerous fleet was approaching. Hidden deep beneath the planet's surface, in secret bunkers that even governments had long forgotten, a machine stirred. A vessel, a prototype decades ahead of its time, lay dormant, wrapped in layers of armor and secrecy. Its creators had called it Aegis. It was humanity's secret weapon, designed not for conquest, but survival, a guardian waiting for the moment when the galaxy would demand its awakening. Now that moment had come. Sirens that had not sounded in decades echoed through the hidden facility. Lights flickered across Aegis's hull, long corridors glowing with a soft golden pulse. Inside, stasis pods opened, releasing the humans chosen to awaken the forgotten prototype. Among them was Commander Elena Voss, a veteran of simulations and a guardian of humanity's last hope. Her eyes scanned the vast control deck, taking in the massive ship before her. It was more than a vessel. It was a promise, a legacy of human ingenuity, and a silent vow to the galaxy that Earth would not kneel. Elena stepped forward, her boots clicking against the metallic floor. Memories of her youth, of her training in virtual simulations, of late nights studying alien warfare, filled her mind. She had waited for this day her entire life. Now the responsibility pressed down on her shoulders like a star-crushing gravity. "We are humanity's last chance," she whispered, her voice trembling not from fear but from the weight of history. The ship hummed beneath her, almost as if it understood her resolve, its engines pulsing in anticipation. Outside, Earth's orbit had already been breached. Scouts detected massive Dominion cruisers, their weapons glowing like the eyes of predators ready to strike. Panic began to ripple through civilian satellites and hidden stations. Messages flashed, warnings were sent, but Elena had no time for fear. She approached the main console, her hands moving over the controls with precision. The ship responded instantly, lights brightening, shields calibrating, engines roaring softly, ready to awaken the power humanity had long buried. The Aegis was a marvel. Its hull shimmered with advanced alloys, absorbing energy in ways no ordinary ship could. Its weapons, silent yet deadly, waited for Elena's command. Quantum drives, experimental for their time, promised mobility faster than anything the Dominion had encountered. Every inch of the vessel whispered a single truth. This was humanity's secret, a weapon born not from arrogance but from the stubborn will to survive. As the hangar doors closed behind her, Elena felt a surge of determination. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries. Now the galaxy would see its strength. Aegis moved into orbit, invisible to the Dominion, a ghost in the void, ready to strike. Elena's fingers hovered over the launch command. "It's time to remind them who we are," she said, her eyes shining with both fear and fierce hope. Somewhere deep in the vessel, she felt it respond, alive and ready. The war had begun, and humanity's forgotten giant was awake. The Dominion fleet stretched across the stars like a black tide, their massive ships bristling with weapons that could destroy continents in moments. Commanders aboard their flagship were confident, laughing at reports of primitive Earth defenses. They had dismissed humanity for centuries, seeing the planet as weak, backward, unworthy of attention. They did not know the truth, that humanity had prepared in secret a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. Hidden in orbit, Aegis waited. Its hull gleamed faintly under the light of distant suns, invisible to Dominion sensors. Inside, Commander Elena Voss gripped the console, her heart steady but racing with anticipation. This was not just a battle. It was humanity's declaration. She studied the enemy formations carefully, noting the slightest weaknesses in their formations. Every move she made had been trained, calculated, and imagined 1,000 times before. The first strike was precise and deadly. Aegis unleashed its quantum torpedoes, small but supremely powerful, targeting the outermost Dominion scouts. There was no warning. Explosions tore through the void, ripping ships apart in silent, deadly flashes. Dominion captains stared at their displays in disbelief.
Impossible, one whispered.
How could a single ship from a forgotten world destroy entire patrols before even being detected? Elena's lips curved into a determined smile. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Her voice, calm yet resolute, echoed in the ship's command center. This is only the beginning. They will learn what Earth can do. She maneuvered Aegis carefully, weaving through energy grids and minefields designed to trap intruders. Every system in the ship worked in perfect harmony, responding almost instinctively to her commands. The Dominion fleet tried to react. Massive cruisers fired their energy cannons, seeking to light up the invisible threat. Missiles screamed through space. Plasma beams lanced toward Aegis. Yet the prototype's shields absorbed and redirected the attacks with ease. Elena's eyes sparkled with a mixture of exhilaration and resolve. This ship was built for this moment, to turn despair into hope, fear into victory. With surgical precision, Aegis deployed its next weapon, the gravity disruptor. Entire formations of Dominion ships were caught in waves of artificial gravity, tearing them apart as if the universe itself was rebelling against them. Cruisers collided, their hulls crumpling like paper, smaller ships shredded by forces they could not comprehend. The Dominion was stunned, their confidence evaporating in an instant. From hidden observation posts on Earth and scattered colonies, humanity watched in awe. People who had spent years in fear now felt hope ignite like a bright star in the darkness. The forgotten prototype, a machine they had long thought obsolete, had become their savior. Elena's mind raced, thinking not just of strategy but of the pride she felt for humanity. They had endured centuries of neglect, ridicule, and doubt. Now they were finally proving their worth. But the Dominion was not easily defeated. They began adapting, forming tighter formations, coordinating fire patterns, and deploying reinforcements. The battle intensified. Energy beams flared. Explosions painted the void with fiery trails, and the vacuum of space seemed alive with chaos. Yet Aegis moved with elegance, each maneuver a dance of deadly precision. Elena's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the awareness that humanity's future rested entirely on her decisions. Aegis struck again. Using quantum phase cannons, it tore through Dominion capital ships, reducing them to nothingness in a matter of seconds. The Dominion commanders realized, too late, that Earth was not weak. They had awakened a force they could not contain, and Elena, in the glow of her ship's control panels, felt the weight of hope and responsibility pressing on her. Humanity had begun its fight, and it would not be denied. The Dominion was stunned. Their scouts obliterated, their capital ships shredded by a single, forgotten prototype. They were forced to admit the impossible. Earth was not defenseless. Commanders on their flagship barked orders with rising frustration, their confidence cracking. "Concentrate all fire! Find the ghost," one shouted. But the ghost they sought, Aegis, moved with uncanny precision, slipping through their sensors like water through fingers. Inside Aegis, Commander Elena Voss felt the tension tightening around her like a vice. She had struck first, and humanity had tasted the exhilaration of victory, but she knew the Dominion would not yield. They would adapt, strike back harder, and send waves of destruction in her direction. Her hands moved over the controls, fingers flying across holographic panels. Every maneuver, every shot had to be perfect. Failure would not just mean death, it would mean the end of humanity's hope. The Dominion's response was swift and brutal. Massive warships emerged from cloaked positions, their energy beams slicing through the void like deadly knives. Aegis rocked from the impact, the hum of shields straining under unprecedented force. Alarms blared in the command center, and Elena's heart raced. Yet her eyes were sharp, her mind calm. This was more than a battle. It was a test of human will, ingenuity, and courage. For every attack the Dominion launched, Aegis had an answer. Using advanced quantum drives, it phased in and out of conventional space, avoiding direct hits and striking from angles no enemy could anticipate. Elena's voice was steady, yet filled with quiet determination. "We will not falter. Humanity does not bend. Humanity does not break." Every word echoed through the ship, a mantra of hope and defiance. Outside, the Dominion unleashed their deadliest weapons, planet cracker cannons capable of tearing. continents apart, but Aegis was ready. Using experimental energy shields, it absorbed the blasts, converting the deadly energy into propulsion for counterattacks. Entire fleets that had once feared nothing now shuddered as the human vessel turned defense into offense. The Dominion realized with growing horror that this was not a normal warship. It was a force of nature. Amid the chaos, Elena felt a surge of emotion. Memories of Earth flashed in her mind. Children laughing under blue skies, families sharing meals, scientists dreaming of the stars. These were the faces she fought for, she whispered softly, almost as if speaking to them across the void. I will protect you. I will make them remember Earth. Her resolve strengthened, and Aegis responded like a loyal companion, unleashing waves of attacks that shredded Dominion cruisers. Yet victory was not without cost. Smaller support ships of humanity, hidden across colonies and space stations, were falling to Dominion strikes. Elena's chest tightened as she realized the gravity of her responsibility. Every life lost was a reminder of what was at stake. Her hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from the enormity of the burden she bore. She pressed forward, though, determined not to let despair take root. Aegis became a storm in space. Its quantum torpedoes ripped apart formation after formation. Dominion commanders watched in disbelief as their fleet crumbled, realizing that this single forgotten ship from a small planet could outmaneuver, outthink, and outfight the galaxy's mightiest forces. Panic spread among their ranks. Discipline turned to chaos. As the battle raged, Elena's mind remained clear. She knew the Dominion would not stop. They would strike again, harder and more cunningly, but humanity's forgotten prototype had already made its mark. It had proven that the galaxy's largest powers could not underestimate the small, the determined, the resilient. Humanity had awoken, and the Dominion was beginning to learn a lesson they would never forget. Never, ever dismiss Earth. The Dominion fleet was reeling. Ships that had once inspired fear now floated in ruins, shredded by the precision of Aegis. Yet even in the chaos, the enemy adapted, their commanders cold and calculating, seeking to trap the human ship in a final, devastating strike. Entire sectors of space were cordoned off, energy grids activated, and fleets moved like predators closing in on prey. But the prey, unseen and unmatched, was Aegis, humanity's forgotten champion. Inside the ship, Commander Elena Voss felt a weight she had never known before. Every decision she made could mean life or death for billions. Every move was critical. She glanced at the holographic display, tracking the Dominion's shifting formations. Despite the chaos outside, her mind was calm, focused. She understood the pattern, the rhythm of their attacks, and she smiled slightly. Humanity had always survived against the odds, and this would be no different. Elena's voice carried through the command deck, soft, yet commanding. Engage the counteroffensive. Hit their weak points. Show them what humanity is capable of. Every officer and pilot under her command moved with precision, executing orders they had only imagined in simulations. Aegis was no longer just a ship. It had become an extension of human ingenuity and determination, alive with purpose. The counterattack was swift and brutal. Using a combination of quantum torpedoes, phase cannons, and gravity disruptors, Aegis tore through Dominion lines. Entire capital ships were ripped apart, their fragments scattered like cosmic debris. Smaller vessels tried to flee, but Aegis anticipated every move, cutting them off with unmatched speed. The Dominion had brought terror to countless worlds, but Earth's forgotten prototype was rewriting the rules of warfare. Outside, distant observers on Earth and nearby colonies held their breath. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not running, hiding, or begging for mercy. They were fighting back. And not just fighting, they were dominating. People whispered in awe, tears in their eyes. They had dreamed of the stars, and now through Aegis and Elena's leadership, their dreams were alive and blazing across the galaxy. Yet the battle was not without heartbreak. Reports came in from human support stations and colonies. Lives lost, defenses breached, allies destroyed. Elena's chest tightened. Each loss reminded her of what they were fighting for. Not glory, but survival, not conquest, but life. She gritted her teeth, pushing the pain aside. The Dominion's arrogance would be their undoing, but the cost was steep. Aegis moved like a predator through the Dominion fleet, its weapons precise, devastating, unstoppable. The once confident enemy now struggled, their formations breaking apart under the relentless human assault. Elena's mind raced, calculating trajectories, predicting attacks, exploiting every weakness. She was calm, but inside a fire burned, a fierce, unyielding pride in humanity's resilience. And then came the moment of truth. The Dominion flagship, massive and imposing, tried to escape through an untested wormhole. Elena seized the opportunity. With a daring maneuver, Aegis intercepted the vessel, launching a concentrated barrage of quantum torpedoes and phase energy strikes. The enemy flagship erupted in a silent storm of fire and debris, a symbol of human ingenuity crushing the arrogant invader. As silence settled across the battlefield, Elena looked out at the stars, feeling both relief and exhaustion. Humanity had survived, but the war was far from over. They had proven something undeniable. Earth was not weak, humanity was not insignificant, and even the mightiest empire could fall to courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination. In the calm that followed, Elena whispered almost to herself, "We are not forgotten. We are not weak. We are humanity." And across the void, the remnants of the Dominion fleet trembled, realizing that they had awakened a force far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. A united humanity, rising from the edge of obscurity, ready to fight for every star they could reach. The Dominion had tasted humiliation. Their once feared fleets lay in ruins, shredded by a single forgotten prototype. Their arrogance had blinded them, and now they faced the bitter truth. Earth was not weak, humanity was not insignificant, and the galaxy could not be ruled through fear alone. Dominion commanders met in tense council chambers aboard their flagship, their faces pale beneath artificial light. "We underestimated them," one admitted, voice low and full of dread. "They will pay." They unleashed everything. Wave after wave of advanced warships surged through the void, armed with weapons designed to annihilate entire planets. The Dominion hoped sheer numbers would crush Aegis, hoping the prototype was just a clever machine, not the embodiment of human ingenuity and determination. But they were wrong. Humanity had survived worse, adapted faster, and risen higher. In orbit around Earth, Commander Elena Voss watched the incoming fleets with unwavering focus. Her chest tightened, not from fear but from the weight of responsibility. Every soul on Earth and in nearby colonies depended on her. She activated Aegis's full power, the ship thrumming with energy, alive and aware of the battle to come. "They want to break us," Elena said softly to herself. "But they cannot. Not today, not ever." The first Dominion wave slammed into Aegis. Energy beams tore through space, missiles streaked toward the prototype, and explosions lit the void like distant suns. Aegis absorbed, deflected, and countered. Using its quantum shields and phase maneuvering, it avoided destruction at every turn. Elena's mind moved faster than the weapons of war. Each strike was calculated, each defense flawless. She was not just commanding a ship, she was commanding hope itself. The battle intensified. Dominion fleets adapted, learning from their mistakes, striking in coordinated patterns meant to trap Aegis. But Elena had anticipated this. Using the ship's gravity disruptors, she sent enemy formations spinning into one another. Ships collided, weapons systems overloaded, and commanders could only watch in horror as their prideful fleets were destroyed from within. Despite the chaos, Elena allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Humanity had always faced impossible odds. From primitive wars on Earth to surviving catastrophes that should have ended their species, they had endured. And now, in the cold void of space, humanity endured again. Not through sheer size or overwhelming force, but through cunning, courage, and unwavering resolve. The Dominion had forgotten one vital truth. Humans never surrendered. Even as victory seemed within reach, Elena felt the weight of loss. Support ships that had aided Aegis were destroyed, lives extinguished in flashes of light. Each death was a reminder that war was not glorious, it was brutal, and every choice had consequences. Yet in that pain, she found resolve. Humanity fought not for revenge, not for dominance, but for survival, for home, for each other. Aegis unleashed a final counterstrike against the largest Dominion cruisers, concentrating every weapon and energy system into devastating volleys. The impact was catastrophic. Entire sections of enemy ships were obliterated in seconds, fragments scattering into the void. Dominion commanders watched in disbelief, their pride and arrogance replaced by fear and awe. Humanity's forgotten prototype had become a living legend, unstoppable, relentless, and brilliantly human. As the battle reached its peak, Elena allowed herself a single thought. This was only the beginning. The Dominion had underestimated humanity, and the galaxy would remember that mistake forever. With a calm voice filled with fierce determination, she whispered, "We do not bow, we do not break, we rise." And in that moment, Aegis, the forgotten giant of Earth, carried not only its captain but the spirit of an entire species, proving that humanity, once forgotten, could crush even the mightiest of empires. The Dominion had brought their full strength, a storm of warships, weapons, and relentless firepower. Entire fleets moved in perfect coordination, seeking to crush Aegis and make humanity bend to their will. But the prototype was no ordinary ship. It was humanity's forgotten giant, a symbol of resilience, intelligence, and unwavering courage. And at its helm, Commander Elena Voss refused to falter. As Dominion capital ships closed in, Elena's mind raced. Every strategy, every maneuver, every weapon system had been designed for this moment. She studied the enemy's formations like a chess master, predicting their moves before they even happened. "We are humanity's last hope," she whispered to the ship, and almost as if it understood, Aegis responded, glowing with quiet, immense power. The first strike of the battle came from Elena herself. Using quantum torpedoes combined with phase cannons, she ripped apart a group of Dominion warships attempting to encircle Aegis. The void exploded with silent destruction, ships crumpling and spinning helplessly in space. Dominion commanders shouted orders, their voices laced with panic. They had never faced an opponent like this, intelligent, fast, unpredictable, and utterly fearless. For the humans watching from hidden colonies and secret stations, hope surged through them like electricity. A species long dismissed, laughed at, and ignored was now dominating the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Tears of relief and pride streamed down the faces of those who had waited decades, generations even, for a sign that humanity could stand and fight. They saw their future reflected in Aegis, in Elena, and for the first time they believed in it. But victory did not come without danger. The Dominion adapted, launching wave after wave of counterattacks trying to overwhelm the prototype. Energy beams flared, missiles screamed, and the void erupted in fiery chaos. Aegis shook with every impact, but Elena held steady, her hands flying across controls, her mind sharp and fearless. She could not afford fear, not now, not ever. Humanity's survival depended on her courage. Aegis unleashed its gravity disruptors and energy rippers, turning Dominion formations into chaos. Ships collided in massive bursts of fire, entire battalions destroyed before they could even react. Elena felt a rush of emotion, a mixture of sorrow and determination. Each enemy ship destroyed represented the life and future of humanity that she was defending. She whispered almost silently, "We fight for every home. We fight for everyone who believed in us." The turning point came when Elena detected the Dominion flagship attempting to flee. It was massive, imposing, and deadly, but she saw its weakness. With a daring maneuver, Aegis cut through its defenses, unleashing a concentrated barrage of quantum torpedoes and phase energy beams. The impact was catastrophic. The flagship erupted in a silent storm of debris, its destruction signaling not just a tactical victory, but a psychological one. The Dominion's confidence shattered. As silence settled briefly over the battlefield, Elena allowed herself a breath. Humanity had begun to turn the tide. From the shadows of a galaxy that had long ignored them, Earth's forgotten prototype had risen to dominate, defy, and inspire. The Dominion had learned painfully and irrevocably that underestimating humans was a mistake that could never be repeated. Elena looked out across the stars, her heart full of pride and determination. This battle was far from over, but humanity had proven a crucial truth. Even the smallest, most forgotten species could rise to greatness when driven by courage, intelligence, and the will to survive. And in the quiet hum of Aegis, she whispered to herself, "We are not weak. We are not forgotten. We are humanity." The galaxy had witnessed the beginning of a new era, and humanity's rise was unstoppable. The Dominion fleet was in disarray. Their once mighty armada, feared across the galaxy, had been shattered again and again by a single forgotten ship. Aegis, humanity's secret prototype, moved through the battlefield like a storm of steel and light. Captain Elena Voss gripped the console, her eyes sharp, her mind focused, knowing that the final battle was upon them. The Dominion would not surrender, but neither would humanity. The Dominion commanders, desperate and panicked, threw everything at Aegis. Massive energy beams tore across space, missiles streaked with deadly precision, and cloaked warships tried to strike from unexpected angles. The void was filled with flashes of destruction, and yet Aegis moved with unmatched speed, evading, striking, and surviving. Elena's heart beat like a drum, but her mind was calm. She had trained for this moment her entire life. Humanity's survival rested on her courage and her decisions. Aegis struck first, unleashing a barrage of quantum torpedoes at the largest remaining Dominion cruisers. The explosions were silent in space, but their impact was devastating. Entire formations crumpled under the force, ships spinning helplessly into debris. Dominion officers shouted in disbelief, unable to comprehend that a planet they had dismissed, a species they had mocked, had produced such a force. Elena allowed herself a brief moment to remember why she fought. Faces of humanity flashed before her, children running under Earth's sun, scientists dreaming of the stars, families laughing, soldiers who had given everything. Each memory was a fuel that drove her hands and guided every maneuver. "We fight for them," she whispered to the ship. "We fight for every life they believed we could not protect." The final wave of the Dominion fleet approached. It was their last desperate attempt, the culmination of their pride and wrath. Massive capital ships moved as one, weapons primed, energy charging to levels that could have destroyed entire planets. But Elena was ready. She activated Aegis's full combat array, every weapon, shield, and engine synchronized perfectly. The ship hummed with power, alive, almost sentient, a culmination of humanity's ingenuity and relentless spirit. Aegis struck with precision and fury. Phase cannons ripped through Dominion cruisers. Gravity disruptors sent fleets crashing into one another, and quantum torpedoes obliterated enemy formations in cascading explosions. The Dominion flagship, massive and imposing, tried to flee through the void, but Elena anticipated its path. With a calculated maneuver, Aegis intercepted the ship, firing the last of its concentrated energy beams. The flagship shattered, torn apart in a silent, brilliant storm of fire and debris. The Dominion's remaining ships scattered, leaderless, their morale shattered. The galaxy had witnessed a small, forgotten world rise with fury and intelligence, proving that no empire was untouchable. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. Elena leaned back in her chair, chest heaving, eyes wet with relief and pride. She had carried the weight of a species on her shoulders, and they had risen together. From hidden colonies, secret stations, and Earth itself, humans celebrated. They had been dismissed, ignored, and underestimated for centuries. Now they had proven their worth in the most dramatic way possible. By crushing the mightiest empire in the galaxy with courage, intelligence, and the unwavering determination that defined humanity, Aegis floated quietly among the ruins of the Dominion fleet. The stars shimmered around them, silent witnesses to the triumph of the human spirit. Elena gazed out at the void, a tear sliding down her cheek. "We are not forgotten," she whispered, voice choked with emotion. "We are not weak. We are humanity." For the first time in generations, Earth was no longer insignificant. Humanity had risen, fought, and triumphed. And in the heart of a forgotten prototype, they had found the proof of their greatness. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. As Aegis drifted among the stars, repaired and ready for whatever came next, Elena allowed herself a final smile. Humanity had won this battle, but more than that, they had awakened the universe to a truth that could never be ignored. Earth was home to a species that would fight, survive, and rise, no matter the odds.